My name's Barry Wicks, and I'm now retired, but I retired from military service from leaving school for 10 years, and a very active military service because I was a physical training instructor at first and then moved into the Army Air Corps, where I was very actively working with helicopters. A very exciting time. And then I came out of the military and went into financial services. That was a very interesting career, and at the same time as I ran my business in financial services, I became a magistrate on the Wiltshire bench in a very prominent town in Wiltshire.
What led you to look into medical cannabis?
As I got older, having left the magistracy, having retired, things started to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And they started to hurt on my body
Age just gets in the way.
For longer periods of time. It affected my body, affected the way I could enjoy the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to my doctors about the medicines, the traditional medicines I was being prescribed to deal with my ailments, and the fact that they weren't sufficient. And then in the end, my doctor and I discussed it, and we became a bit confused because there was nothing else the doctor could do for my ailments, my pain, lower back and hip pain. My hips weren't, they said, bad enough for a hip operation, but goodness knows how bad they have to be before you get one, because I was hurting. And I was already on the maximum dose of the medicine prescribed by my doctor. I became aware of medical cannabis option and said, is it possible that I could do some research myself on this to find out how I could gain access to medical cannabis? And he said, by all means. He was a very open-minded about it, and said, whatever treatment you can get to best suit yourself, I will support. And I was very grateful for that, because he's been my GP for many, many years, and I trust him implicitly. So I asked him to oversee what I was doing, and I shared all the information on the research I did into medical cannabis.
You're very lucky. Lots of GPs aren't that supportive.
I believe so, but I have a very good relationship with my GP. Well, I've just been truly amazed because being on the maximum dose of the medicines prescribed before, they just weren't lasting long enough for me to take up recreational facilities like golf. And I was not able really to do 18 holes without severe pain. So the cannabis products that I've and been prescribed have solved all of that problem, and they last longer than the pills did. So big benefit all round.
Have you actually reduced the amount of pharmaceutical medicine you take using medical cannabis?
Yes, I have, and the reason for that was that the medicine I was prescribed was the maximum dose was 2 tablets. I took one in the morning and one in the afternoon, but I now only take one in the morning, and I take the cannabis product in the afternoon, but only when I feel I'm going to need it. So I've cut down by 50% on prescribed drugs.
Do you feel that you have any kind of dependency on cannabis? Because that's one of the things that people get apprehensive about because they've read about addiction. Do you feel that it has any effect on you that drives you to want more cannabis?
Absolutely, unequivocally, no.
So you have had no experience of any kind of desire to use more cannabis than you actually need, and you only use maintenance dose.
That's very, very true. And in fact, I use less than the prescribed dose because I only use it when I feel I need it.
Perfect.